Welcome to Underworld UK, where Britain's darkest stories are brought to light. From the gritty streets of gangland London, Liverpool, Manchester and Birmingham, from Curtis Warren to the Cray twins to county lines and modern-day true crime, we cover everything. Bringing you new videos every week. Subscribe so that you'll be notified when the next video is put out.
In the early hours of a Dubai morning, a familiar name from Liverpool's criminal past quietly resurfaced and then vanished for good. Spencer Benjamin, a veteran drug trafficker with deep roots in organised crime, was found dead inside a hotel room in the UAE. The news barely made international headlines, but within underworld circles it sent a clear ripple. Benjamin was no foot soldier. For years, police had identified him as a key operator in one of the most powerful cocaine supply chains ever to reach Britain. Benjamin's criminal story stretches back to the most violent and lucrative era of UK organised crime, the 1990s cocaine boom. Originally from Toxteth, he emerged during a period when Liverpool had become a critical gateway for Class A drugs entering Britain. At the centre of that trade was the Cali Cartel, a global narcotics empire that dominated cocaine production and distribution across Europe and North America. By the late 1990s, British authorities believed Benjamin was effectively managing the cartel's Liverpool interests. Surveillance operations revealed repeated meetings in central London between Benjamin and a Venezuelan national later identified as Ivan DiGiorgio. These encounters, carried out in plain sight inside chain restaurants, were classic cartel tradecraft, ordinary locations chosen to hide extraordinary business. Undercover officers observed bags and satchels being exchanged, transactions police believed involved large quantities of cash destined for South American suppliers. Investigators later concluded Benjamin was responsible for receiving cocaine shipments indirectly linked to cartel-controlled routes, ensuring the drugs were distributed across Merseyside and beyond. Senior detectives described him as the organiser for the Liverpool end of the operation, a role that placed him firmly above street-level dealers. This was management, logistics and money, the backbone of organised crime. When police finally moved against DiGiorgio, his desperate leap from a first-floor window during the raid underlined just how high the stakes had become. His eventual 20-year sentence confirmed what detectives already knew. This was cartel business at the highest level. Benjamin's own arrest followed weeks later after a strange and telling misstep. Rather than fleeing the country, he embarked on a cash-fueled spending spree, converting a flat above a shop into a fully furnished safe house. Thousands were spent in days, all in cash, all under false names. When officers finally closed in, Benjamin maintained his innocence, claiming he had no involvement in drugs, a line that collapsed under the weight of surveillance evidence. In 2000, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in the cocaine conspiracy. Prosecutors laid out a lifestyle funded entirely by drug money: luxury holidays, expensive watches, high-end vehicles, and a standard of living far beyond any legitimate income. It was a textbook place of cartel-funded excess, and one that offered a rare glimpse into how international cocaine networks operated inside the UK. Crucially, Benjamin's rise coincided with his association with Liverpool's most feared crime figure, Curtis Warren, better known as Cocky. During the same period, Warren was cementing his status as Britain's most prolific cocaine importer, forging direct links with Colombian suppliers and flooding Europe with drugs. The two men moved within the same criminal ecosystem, one at the very top, the other enforcing and organising beneath him. This era plunged Liverpool into one of its bloodiest gang wars. Following the murder of David Ungi, the city saw a wave of retaliatory shootings as rival factions aligned themselves either with Warren's empire or against it. Armed police patrolled neighbourhoods, intelligence units struggled to contain the violence, and the city's underworld fractured into competing camps. Benjamin was repeatedly named in connection with this conflict and was once charged with attempted murder, though the case ultimately collapsed. As pressure mounted, Warren fled the city, relocating to mainland Europe, while his organisation continued to operate from the shadows. Benjamin, meanwhile, served his sentence, but the years inside prison marked the beginning of his decline rather than redemption. After his release, he never regained his former status. Instead, his later criminal convictions painted a very different picture: disorganised, reckless, and far removed from the disciplined cartel operator he once was. In 2016, he was jailed again after taking part in a botched supermarket ram raid and a cash-in-transit robbery, crimes more typical of mid-level gangs than international traffickers. His arrest was swift, triggered by the astonishing mistake of using a hire car registered in his own name. Even behind bars, Benjamin remained entangled in violence. Reports emerged of a prison fight with notorious hardman Brian Schumacher, a former elite boxer turned killer. According to prison sources, Benjamin came off worse, a symbolic end to the aura he once carried in Liverpool's Underworld. His eventual death in Dubai places him within a growing pattern. Over the past 2 decades, the city's gained a reputation as a refuge for international criminals seeking distance from European law enforcement. Benjamin is now the second Liverpool figure linked to Warren to be found dead there. In 2015, Thomas Wynne, another close associate, was also discovered dead in a hotel room while wanted in connection with a major heroin conspiracy. The wider picture is even more unsettling. Major organised crime figures, including the Kinahan crime family led by Christy Kinahan, have long been linked to the region. Legal insiders have claimed that corrupt intermediaries can provide early warnings of arrest warrants, allowing suspects to briefly relocate before returning once the pressure subsides. As for Spencer Benjamin, the circumstances surrounding his death remain officially unexplained. British authorities have confirmed they're assisting his family, but no public details have been released. Whether his death was natural, accidental, or something more sinister is a question that may never be fully answered. What is certain is that his story mirrors the life cycle of many figures from Britain's cocaine era: rapid ascent through cartel connections, immense profits, violent chaos, and ultimately isolation. Found dead thousands of miles from the streets that made his name, Spencer Benjamin's life stands as a stark reminder of how the UK underworld consumes its own. For Liverpool, his death closes yet another chapter from a brutal period when global cartels and local gangsters collided, leaving behind wealth, bloodshed, and a legacy that still casts a long shadow today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you're into true crime and you would like to see more stories like this, subscribe and you'll be notified as to when I put out a new true crime video. See you next time.
Good morning from Yami B TV, wishing you all a pleasant day. Now, it's always very difficult for me to have to report on the deaths of men that I became extremely close to during all my years incarcerated in a prison environment. And we know there are many men from all sides that I became close to at some stage. So it is with great sadness that I have to report this morning, coming from the last couple of hours or so, where an old friend of mine, Spencer Benjamin, namely Speller Benjamin from Liverpool, has been found dead in a hotel room in Dubai. Now, the conspiracy theories have started already. The coincidences have started already. So I'm going to give you a little bit of breakdown and give you my kind of conclusion at the early reports coming in. So I met Spencer Benjamin in the 90s and became quite close to him in prison. Used to train with him and have a laugh with him, basically. Rest in peace, Spencer Benjamin's family. I think his children's mother might be Jackie. So we send love, light and prayers to the whole family down there. So in 2000, the year 2000, Spencer Benjamin got 10 years for conspiracy to supply or smuggling quite a large number of cocaine. There were, I read his paperwork on that case, his case papers, right? And I remember seeing, he showed me photographs. There were photographs, like it was reported at the time. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I think the co-defendant's name was Ivan de Giorgio, a Venezuelan big kingpin drug dealer, or another go-between. It is being suggested and had been suggested from the 90s onwards that he was Cocky Curtis Warren's frontman whilst in England, like Curtis regarding Spencer Benjamin. I can tell you that I know for definite that they grew up from childhood. I'm not aware that they had any court cases actually together or were co-accused in any cases. I think there might be one from their childhood actually. But it is that Curtis's name is mentioned with the Cali Cartel. That Curtis was known as England's Pablo Escobar, and he had links to, they say, to Ivan de Giorgio as well. So on a couple of those meets in that case with de Giorgio and Spencer Benjamin, there was various bags passed over on a couple of occasions. I saw that with my own eyes on photographs in that. So they definitely met, yeah? So Curtis's name forever called in anything regarding things like that, right? So de Giorgio got 20 years. Spencer served out his time for that case. And there was always something sad about Spencer as well, because he spoke about his dead brother who was murdered at some stage in Liverpool years and years ago. And I think, in my personal opinion, if you don't mind me saying, you lot, I thought Spencer Benjamin was broken-hearted from that. He missed his brother. I think his brother's name was Clay, right? But yeah, it was a sad event for Spencer Benjamin. When he got released, I remember hearing that he got arrested for a ride-by shooting on a motorbike, where he was alleged to have been on a motorbike in the traffic lights and tried to shoot someone. But if I also remember rightly, he got found not guilty of that, unless you lot can remind me of more, right? Not long after that, so 2000, move on. Years and years later, I'm surprised that I hear that he got another 8 years for a robbery where he was attempted at gunpoint to rob 2 security guards, right? But don't know too much about that case. But I know that he went back to prison for that, sadly. And I think it was reported on TV or somewhere like that. I remember hearing that on my last sentence when I was in High Point, right? So that was the last that I heard about his prison time. Now, in recent time, this has a coincidence to it as well. Tommy Wynn, who was alleged to be close to Cocky Curtis Warren as well, right? And they were great friends as well. Tommy Wynn, rest in peace, met him on a couple of occasions as well. He was found dead in a hotel room as well. So coincidences, that such links, they're going to be suggesting. He was on the run at the time, if I remember rightly, Tommy Wynn, for a big drugs case in Sussex. But the death in the hotel room was reported as non-suspicious, right? So the early stages of this inquiry with Spencer being found dead in a hotel room, very strange how a lot of people end up dying alone in hotel rooms. We'll have to stay away from them. But no, on the serious side, you could actually, most people die in their bedrooms at home or in hospital. But there will be talk once it's in hotel rooms. What are they doing over there? Well, look. But the last I heard, right, and he got in touch with me, Spencer Benjamin. Imagine I spoke to him before I got the recall When I came out in 2017, right, and I was in a hostel, and you remember in my story they said that I had a £1 million Richie Millie watch that I thought was fake, and I got recalled for it, right? So and I ended up serving the whole of that 8 years that I just served half for. During that time, at 17, I think I was only at 8 weeks or something, never got out the hostel stage. But during my days when I used to go around to my mother's, Spencer Benjamin got in touch with me, and we was having a right laugh. But I'm sure he told me that he either had a case or he was at large away from the police. Don't quote me on that, but that was the only telephone call that I can remember in recent times in history on the outside, right? It is believed that Speller came out from that 8-year sentence. Now, since being out this time, and I've been out 6 years, I received a comment in the chat. It was Speller Benjamin, once again, probably listening to me talking on YouTube and that kind of stuff, right? I kind of like Speller, you know. And he's going, yeah, I mean, he was cracking those old jokes from prison in the comments, right? And I got a private message. I can't remember whether it was Messenger or Instagram, but he was out of the country at that time. And I thought, like, if I remember rightly, he couldn't come back. He couldn't come back. I was reading as well, or someone sent me a thing, you know, some information quite some time ago, that the barristers in the Dubai and councils, and they're all a bit dodgy and corrupt, that when the police are looking for you and there's a warrant out for your arrest, you get, if you got money, you can pay them off to say, you get the information, so you could go keep running and hiding and always stay one step ahead of them. I don't know if this is true, but a couple of versions was that Speller might have been at large, on the run, wanted, they wanted to question him. I don't really know, right? So it's no good asking me those kind of questions, what he was doing out there. And just because Cocky Curtis Warren had links with this one and that one in the 90s, and they were friends from childhood and this and all that, it doesn't mean that it is because they were involved in drugs that they had to get taken out. It could be, not by Curtis, by anyone, if you're involved in that game and it's just so mysterious that you die in a hotel room all alone, yeah, all alone. So it will be part of that syndicate, part of that syndicate. So you've got to expect that. So it might be right. I don't know, but I don't believe so. Whether they were still up to things or not, I also don't know. But the only thing that's definite this morning is there will be a lot of sad people that Speller Benjamin has passed away, man. So I class him as a close friend. But I conclude this video by saying it's still a strange set of circumstances when you have more than one man, and there are many men, not just from Liverpool. There's about 4 or 5 in Ireland that died in hotel rooms, not linked, I believe, to any of the links that in the north of England have, but they always do, and there will always, and is always, and will be a lot of questions more to come out on the death of Speller Benjamin. Rest in peace, my boy. We don't know in which way yet, but it sounds a bit similar to Tommy Wynn's, where there was no suspicious circumstances. But after all will be revealed in the coming hours. Have a blessed day.